What's up, guys? Thank you for watching. This is the 5 Questions in My Basement podcast. We're here with Allison Gwylit. Tommy, where do we ask these 5 questions?
In my basement.
That's what we always do at the start.
Underground.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So Allison is one of my good friends, one of the most inspiring people I've met. Really just a great person in general, and she's had a crazy story, and we're here to share that with you guys today and hopefully inspire you. So Allison, could you just start by introducing yourself a little bit?
Okay,
Yes.
well, I'm Allison Gwylit.
Hey, Allison.
Hi. I am a single mom of 2 boys who are 2 years old and 4 months old. I'm just on my own,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Chilling,
just
loving
chilling,
life.
loving life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with the first question. So I want to talk about your kids a little bit, Jacob and Jackson. I wonder if we can maybe get some pictures on the screen
Sure, I
of
guess.
them. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about your kids.
Okay, well, I had Jacob. Well, I got pregnant with Jacob when I was 16. He is a rambunctious 2-year-old, and
Very rambunctious.
very, yeah. So he's a lot of fun. He likes trains and cars, and just like he's just your typical 2-year-old boy, right? So, and then there's Jackson, and he's 4 months old, and he was born with like some complications. He was born with a birth defect, which made him really sick at birth.
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing a lot better now, and he's at home with me, and I pretty much just I nurse him, and he's just a really smiley, happy guy, and yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Quick question: how did you come up with the names? Like, is it like family names, or is it just like you went online, found a list?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I closed my eyes in a book. No. Jacob is my grandfather's name, and then Jackson was just a name that I liked, and it started with a J. I kind of wanted to stay with the J's, but it kind of backfired on me because I always mix up their names.
So now, if you have a third kid, are you gonna name them with a J name? Jesse.
I like that name. You know what? Maybe I hopefully won't have a third kid because the 2 are enough for me.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Well, I mean, as a single mom, right? It's a lot just
Yeah.
for one kid, let alone having to have 2.
Yes, it's constant go,
Mhm.
and can't turn.
So was it like hard to make time for this, or was it?
It is, yeah. Like
Well, we appreciate you being here.
Oh,
do.
thank you. Yeah, this is how I'd like to spend my time away from my kids, right? Is doing positive things and spending time with people I enjoy being with, like Brett, and yeah, you guys are awesome. So yeah, it's hard because I don't trust a lot of people with Jackson because he is both of my boys are really high maintenance. Jacob is like an accident waiting to happen every second of the day.
Yeah.
And
I
then-
respect it though. The guy climbs on everything.
Oh my
He's
God.
always experimenting. I
Oh.
don't know.
The terrible twos. That's what my parents called it.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
It
that's
really
what-
is.
yeah.
Yeah, but like he is a good boy. Like he'll put dishes in the sink and garbage
Aw.
in the garbage can, and he loves his little brother. He's always like giving him kisses.
Aww.
And if I even let Jackson sit by himself and like whine, Jacob is coming up to me and he's like, "Mommy, mommy, baby, baby." He'll try and go and like I'm like, "Okay, don't worry, I got it handled. He's okay." But
That's nice. He's like protective over him
he
and
is.
stuff too.
He is like
Yes.
super protective, and then Jackson just loves observing Jacob and like watching him play, and
Oh,
yeah, they love each other. There's a bond for
Awesome.
sure.
Good.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah, I can speak from experience from having a brother who's about the exact same age difference as your
Yeah.
kids. It is really, really nice to have a brother, especially one who's like close in age.
Yeah.
Just for kind of going through like the growing stages and going through high school and like and things like that. It's really nice to have.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's awesome.
Just kind of about me, not to distract everyone, but
That's
I'm kind of just a selfish prick, you know. But like, no, like when I was little, I have a sister who's 3 years younger than me. When I was little, I stuck like a sword down her throat, like a plastic one, because she made me mad.
That is really
So,
messed up.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't great. I mean, I was like 4. What am I gonna do?
Well, yeah.
You didn't know any
Yeah,
better.
Like,
Time to brush your teeth.
yeah. Now I'm hearing everyone else talk about, me and my brother, we were so close, and I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck did I do wrong?
Yeah, a bit of a different upbringing, I think.
I live in White Ridge. What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't live in White Ridge when I was 4 though.
Oh,
So
well, I
maybe,
didn't
like,
either. I
once you
moved
turn,
when
like,
I was
7,
4.
That's when. Okay.
Yeah. Who
Shit.
knows? And things could change. They might, like, I can already tell their personalities are totally different. Jackson is very laid back and calm and just, like, always smiling, whereas Jacob is, like, hyper and like yeah,
Yeah, I
just
gotcha.
different.
Yeah, I
very
gotcha.
different. Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, well, again, from my experience, I think it's really good that you have the two boys at that age. Cause like my brother's like my
Yeah.
best friend now,
Yeah.
and it's like it's super nice to have him around the house and stuff like that.
That's awesome. I think it's good too. Like they're both from the same dad, and their dad's not around, so they can kind of have each other in that sense more. So So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. So moving on to question number 2, your old self. So you had you were living a lifestyle that was a lot different from the moment you had kids until now, correct?
I was.
Yeah. So could you go into a little bit of the old life and how you made the change into your new life?
Okay. So around 12 was when things kind of started going like downhill a lot. There was like some severe like home issues going on, and my dad's a police officer, and I was really kind of rebellious like, towards the family and how things were going. And so I started getting into, well, it started with marijuana and drinking and smoking and just sneaking out of the house, just being totally reckless, putting myself in very dangerous situations with dangerous people. And my mental health really was just withering, and I got very unstable. I was in the psychiatric hospital 7 times by the time I was 16. I had drug-induced psychosis. Like I was very messed up because I started dabbling in, well, it was ecstasy, it was pills like Percocet, Xanax, morphine, Oxycontin, like all those terrible things. Anything I could get my hands on, even if I didn't know what it was, I was taking it because I was just so lost. Like I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I didn't really care. Like I just had no cares. So I was just making bad decisions, hanging around bad people. And then I met my kid's dad when I was 16, and we were very reckless together, just doing a lot of bad things. And actually, when I was in the psychiatric ward the last time, that's when I got pregnant with Jacob. So it was it was a very weird time. I was very unstable, didn't know any better with what I was doing.
Well, you're still like a kid, right?
I was, I was so far gone. Like my brain, I was always out of reality constantly. I was constantly high, or I was constantly depressed and trying to cut that feeling out, just numb myself all the time. So I got pregnant at 16, and at that time I was probably at my lowest. I started dabbling in methamphetamines and just all those bad things, right? And I remember I was so bad. I was also stealing because I was running away and things like that. I stole a pregnancy test, and I was on high on drugs, and I went and did the pregnancy test, probably the highest I had ever been in my life, and I found out that I was pregnant, and it just really hit me. I was I wasn't expecting it at all, right? And but for some reason, I don't know what it was, I thought I was gonna be freaking out and sad and thinking, what do I do? But to me, it was just the first thing I did was I took my cigarettes and I threw them in the garbage, and I was just this is it. This, you just have to, this isn't about you anymore. It's not just your body anymore. You got to clean your life up. And pretty much I told my parents, and that was really hard, obviously, because they knew everything I was going through, what I was doing. All my friends, people who I knew, went to school with, were very obviously judgmental, and I don't blame them. They were, telling me, oh, you're going to have a drug addicted child, and you're going to be a total mess, and this and that, so, and it was really hard. I spent 4 days in the hospital going through withdrawal. It was very hard, and they wanted to put me on methadone, which they use to treat pregnant women or just anyone who's trying to get out of drugs. It treats withdrawal, right? And I was no, I'm not taking it because it's a hard drug. It's hard. And they said even you shouldn't quit smoking because just drastically cutting everything out like that cold turkey would be really detrimental, and I'd probably lose my baby. So I was told I was gonna probably lose my baby just from stopping drugs that fast. Sorry, I'm choking up.
It's okay.
But to me, it was like, no, like this is what I have to do, and it was like right away. I was just like, boom. It was December 2nd, 2015. I found out I was pregnant, and that was the last time I touched drugs. It was just, and I
It was
just,
just like that. Eh?
yeah. I mean, the withdrawal lasted like over a month, and it was brutal, and I was shaking, and
What are some of the symptoms of that?
panic attacks to the point where like nothing around me existed. I was shaking, like almost, thank you, in full blown, like sweating, shaking, stiffness, body aching, yeah, just, all that. It's really rough, like really rough. So I was hospitalized, but then it didn't, after like 4 days I was released. I went to my dad's because me and my kid's dad, we weren't really talking. He wasn't ready to like clean his life up, so I was like, I can't be around that. I had to cut out everyone in my life, so I really just felt like I had nowhere to go. I was, kind of back and forth between like couch hopping because my parents didn't want what type of lifestyle I was living in their home, which is understandable. My dad's a police officer, so I just went to my dad and I was like, look, like I not talking with my kid's dad. I want to clean my life up. I can't do this. And he was like, you can't stay here. You can't stay here until like you've proven to me that you are cleaned up. And because he's like, I don't want to deal with this mess of like you being pregnant and who knows what you're going to be doing if you fall through the cracks, right? So I moved into a group home called Villa Rosa for, women who are pregnant who need a place to stay. And that was probably like the best decision of my life. It was really hard living there because there was a lot of women who maybe weren't so serious about taking care of themselves while they were pregnant. There were women on methadone, right? Pregnant. And so that comes with a lot of, like, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of emotion, right? Like, that's just like, for a lot of people when you're in there, that's like the darkest time of your life. But to me, that was my transition. Like, this is what I needed to prove that I was going to change my life around, because they had a school, like they had classrooms there. So I go to class and Indigenous studies and anger management, like they had a whole bunch of courses, right? And so before I left, I completed everything. I think I got 2 grade 10 courses done because I dropped out of school and I just wasn't going to school after grade 9. So they had social workers who observed you constantly. So I had this one social worker who was just so like astounded by me and like the changes that I made so drastically and so fast. And everyone was really surprised because I was in AFM, which is Addictions Foundation Manitoba, right? So it's like rehab kind of, and they wanted to send me to Portage la Prairie for a 3-month rehab, right, out of the city. But I was just so determined that like if I want to do it, I can do it. Like I'll just cut out the people who I don't need in my life and just have them not around, like the bad influences, and that would be enough to just keep me like on the track I needed to go. And then by the time I was about 8 months pregnant, I moved back in with my dad because he believed in me. Like he's seen the change. It was very fast. It was very drastic. And so I had Jacob August 13th of 2016. And by then, like my life had already, done a 180, but it just kept getting better and better from there. And then,
That is so amazing. That right there is why you're one of the most inspiring people I've ever met.
Thank you.
That's unbelievable. I can't believe you did that.
Thanks.
So, like in summation, it was having the baby, and it was just instant. As soon was that like in your mind, in every fiber of your body, that's when you knew your life was going to change.
Yeah, it was. And I was on codeine when I found out I was pregnant, and I was hallucinating because of the stress from the overwhelming like news I just found out, and I like saw God or something.
That is amazing. I just want to say something. Like some people like can't like wake up an hour earlier to make that habit change. Like you like changed your whole entire life from drugs and the people you're hanging out with to like the amazing, beautiful woman you are today. It's absolutely insane. And people are like complaining about like ridiculous stuff and that they can't make changes for. So
Yeah.
that's
You
really
have to like cut everyone out of your life,
I
and like
did,
being alone is like
everybody.
one of the hardest things for people because we're like social
Yes.
animals, right?
It
And
is.
it's like you basically had to plunge yourself into that to make the change.
Yeah, and it was worth it because you really realize who is there for you. Like when I was a drug addict, I lost like true friends that I've known forever, right? And they were scared to come back in my life and support me. Like it was hard for them because they kind of built a wall. They didn't want everyone thought, okay, she's not gonna live much longer, right? Like it was like they had to build a wall and just stop caring. And when I kind of started proving to them that I was changing and that I was better and that I needed their support, their positivity in my life, it was hard for them too because they were so scared that I could just so easily fall through the cracks. And I think, well, now my parents and everyone around me know that I won't fall back into that negative lifestyle because I'm so like on solid ground now, right? But there were other unhealthy things in my life, like when Jacob was 6 months old, I allowed their father back into our life, and that was probably the worst decision I've made since changing my life around because he was very violent and abusive and yeah, it was very bad and very hard. And I still kind of live with some of that, not regret, because I think I needed to know that I gave him that chance and that I can tell my children, like, I gave your father this chance, right?
Yeah.
But it was kind of hard to, like, put through my head that what I put up with, I'm making my children put up with. So at the same time, I take from that just what I learned exactly was like those hard times, what I chose to put up with, I'm making my children put up with. Like I have to have my standards up here because my standards for my children are up here, right? So if I were to settle for someone who, you know, is a drug addict or abusive or, you know, reckless, things like that, then that's the type of example I'm setting for my children. So it was really hard because I loved my kid's dad and I cared about him. I wanted my kids to know their father and I tried really, really hard for him to have a relationship with them, but it became so unhealthy that it was just like, just because you're their dad doesn't mean you get a million chances to keep trying to be their father.
He was like their dad, but he wasn't their father, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like he was, yeah. It was more so of an obsession over me, and it became really unhealthy for like when it came to me and controlling me. Like my kids didn't exist to him, and like me and my kids are a full package, and like they need and deserve the best role models in their life, and I rather them have no male role model than one like that because I could already see the changes in Jacob since he's been out of our life. Like Jacob used to, when their dad was around, grab me by my hair and hit me in the face and yell and kick and scream, and now he's so much more calm. Like he's just a normal 2-year-old. Whereas it probably took a good 3 or 4 months for him to cut those habits out after it cut out their father. So, but he's so young and his brain is so, you know, easily influenced that luckily I've been able to teach him to be more gentle and things like that. So I've already seen like such a big difference since I've cut out all that negativity. So
that's awesome.
yeah.
So from the healing, like having those like new supports, did it help with like cutting out like the father?
You know what? It kind of did, but for me, like what I really had to take from it was like I've honestly never been more confident since he's been out of my life. So it was just kind of realizing that it's like when you have an extra set of hands in a room and you need a whole bunch of help, but they're just useless, right? It was driving me insane in more ways than one, right? So it was just kind of like, you've already been doing this on your own. You don't need his help. Like, he's just dragging you down, just like any of those other negative people in your past. And just because I loved and cared about him, I had to be selfless because with me being selfless towards negative people, I'm doing that for my kids, right? So I'm making that decision that if like you can't hurt me or my kids, like, so you gotta go. Yeah. So yeah,
that's awesome.
It hurts, and I still want him. I just want the best for him, and he has to stay away from us. Like I want him to prove me wrong. You know, I won't hold any of that I won't hold a grudge towards him in that way, but
Because people can change, right?
yeah, I know people can change, but he has to stay arm's length and do it for himself. And in some ways, like, I won't fully ever trust him again because of those things. But it was probably the best decision I made, was cutting him out, because my confidence grew, my independence grew, my happiness. Like, I will always take peacefulness over, being lonely. Like, as long as things are peaceful, the loneliness, you can't even compare to a hostile environment. So
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I love that.
yeah.
So just backtracking a bit, I have kind of a question. Like,
Yeah.
what is psychosis? Like you said, you had like drug-induced psychosis. I don't know what that is.
It's really being completely depersonalized. Like, you're looking at the room around you, but you're over here. Like, your brain, and like you feel paranoid. Like, people are always watching you, and you have false beliefs of reality, pretty much. So
Okay.
yeah. And it wasn't while I was high that I would get that. It was the withdrawal that would cause that. So then I was always chasing the next high to like get rid of that mental instability.
Okay.
Yeah. I gotcha. That's a good question. I was wondering that too, actually.
Yeah.
All right, move. Oh, you
Sorry.
have something else to say?
Oh, well, it's just that just being sober, it's even staying away from like marijuana, like just a lot of things, like just having a clear mind for a long period of time is like the happiest I could ever like be, is just having a clear mind.
That's interesting, because a lot of those drugs obviously bring you like a lot of like a dopamine rush, or like a lot of happiness, right? Like a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like a totally euphoric feeling.
Yes.
But obviously, the regular sustainable happiness is so much better than like the feeling, even like the best euphoric feeling,
Yeah, it is. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. Yeah.
I got you. All right, moving on to number 3.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I want to know what I'm curious of what a day in the life is for single mom Allison Gwylit.
Well, I wouldn't consider it very exciting or anything, but Jacob comes into my room and he's like, wake up, right?
Yeah.
So
That's a nice alarm clock.
Yeah. So wake up and I grab Jackson and go into the living room and I'll cook breakfast and we'll play with trains and cars and I'll clean up, and it sounds so boring when I go through it. And then, depending on the weather, I'll get us all geared up and we'll go to the park.
Sledding?
Yeah, sledding's fun. Yeah, I can't do it with Jackson though. Like, there's a lot of things that I have to do, like, just with Jacob. So
do you have like a babysitter for Jackson?
I have a respite worker, which is like a
Nice.
nanny. She's away until like almost February.
Does she watch both kids or just the one?
She can watch both,
or just the one. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to like take Jacob sledding.
Yeah, or I like to take Jacob to like indoor adventurous places like Kid City and things like that. Like, it's fun. Like, being a young mom, I get looks, right? Like, I've had people be like, you look like you're 12, or are these actually your kids, and things like that, right? But because I can go to these places and I can like truly enjoy them just as much as my son is. Like, any mom will look at their kids and be like, oh, they're having so much fun, that's so nice. But like, I'll get in there and like I'll play with them like a child myself, because it wasn't that long ago, right? I still have that youthfulness in me, and I had it really taken away from me as a child, so I'm kind of reliving it through having my kids.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, that's super cool. Because I was like, you obviously don't get to live a regular 18, 19-year-old life.
No.
Right? Because you're always with your kids and you're taking care of them all the time. You don't just get to go out on Friday night. It's not an option, right?
No, it's not.
It's
I lose track of the day of the week. I'm always at home, or I'm at the park or the grocery store.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a bit of a different life, but I mean, like, for example, you're taking some time now to like see some other people. Yeah. And you said you were planning on having like your 19th birthday your 20th birthday is coming up soon.
Yeah.
So there's times here and there, and I guess you just But you were telling me before that you don't have any regret at all of having your kids, which is awesome, and it clearly changed your life for the better.
It has, yeah. There's no regret. I mean, sometimes as a mother, you get the, oh, like, am I good enough for them and things like that. But that just kind of pushes me to be the best person I can every day, because I know that I am the best for them. There's no one else, nothing else there that's better for them. So to just be my best self is all I can really do. And so there's no regrets. I don't regret the things I did in the past either, because all the things that I put myself through and that I've witnessed and lived through, whatnot, really taught me so much. And I take all the negative and I turn it into experience and how I'm going to use it in my future. Like every single negative thing I've been through, like there's not one thing I can think of that hasn't like taught me something that will benefit my future.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's no regret, because I don't know who I'd be or what I'd be doing if I didn't go through those things. So yeah.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. Question number 4: who is your number one mentor?
My
role model, etc.
Yeah.
Someone you admire.
Yeah.
I really admire. I have a CFS worker because I had Jacob underage, so they automatically, and for obvious reasons, my life before that, they hook you up with a CFS worker, and then when I turned,
what's a CFS worker? What does that sound?
Child Family Services.
Okay.
So everyone thinks, oh, they come take your kids away, but for me, it's not like that. When I turned 18, I chose that I wanted to keep my file open. Her name's Suzanne, and it's just strictly because she's the best support I think I've had throughout the past almost like 3 years. She's just had a lot of support and connections for me and things like that. Like anytime, because I'm almost 20, and I mean I was like 17 living like an adult lifestyle, taking care of a child like on my own, and like I didn't know how to do a lot of things. Like this was all very new to me, right? So she kind of guided me, and she really believes in me. She says, like you're the reason like that I do my job, like to see that good payoff and that people do change and there are good young moms out there and things like that. So she's just kind of been that support. Like when I got pregnant with Jackson and my kid's dad was in jail and I was just completely like, I didn't know what to do. I was so like stuck. I already felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders with Jacob. She came over and I said, I don't think I can do this. Like she's like, if anyone can do it, it's you. And like that just really stuck with me. If anyone can do it, it's you. And I just did it. And like it was the best decision of my life. I mean, I make good decisions, but like that was the best one to choose to keep Jackson. And yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you think you'd sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you think you'd be in the same place if you didn't keep your child, or do you think your kids kind of help you to like live that better life that you want?
Yeah, well, if I didn't have Jacob, I wouldn't be here. There's no doubt in my mind I would not be here. Or if I was, I would be living under a bridge and just like on my last days for sure. And if I didn't have Jackson, I don't think he taught me because of the things he went through at birth. Like he passed in my arms and they had to resuscitate him twice, and he was in the hospital having surgeries. Just kind of almost like losing a child just made me realize like how thankful I am for everything, like the healthcare system, all the supports we have here, just being healthy myself, Jacob being healthy, Jackson being as healthy as he is, and just being kind to everybody. Like he just taught me to be just so much more gentle to people, because even though when he was in the hospital it was like the hardest time of my life, I was like I couldn't even get myself to like swear or like to like flip someone off in traffic, like I just could, because it was just like what I'm going through, like I don't know like who else is going through like terrible things like losing a child and things like that. Like so it's just being kind to one another, because he just taught me to just be so much more gentle.
Just open your perspective a little bit.
It has, yeah, it really has. He's changed my perspective for the better, for sure. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, good. Last question of the day.
Yeah.
What does the future look like for you? What's going to happen once your kids are growing up and moving out? What are you going to do?
Oh, wow, that's far.
Yeah. What's your goal? What's your dream?
Well, I'm going to be a social worker, and that's happening.
What side? Like what area of social work?
I probably want to work for CFS or with like disabled people, or in schools or in hospitals. Like I don't know, you can have social workers anywhere. I really just want to be someone who has those supports for people who are in big crisis or who are like you know, a statistic, and just to try and like show them like that you have so much potential. And I just really want to help people, and I like backtrack, like I really want to go to school. I want to, you know, take psychology, I want to take sociology, like just educate myself, because there's so much education out there that I only have my grade 12, so you know, I just like to learn, and you know, buy a house and things like that. So,
Cool. I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to accomplish that.
Thank you.
No doubt at all.
Yeah, I don't either. That's how I'm going to do it.
That's how you. That's actually a key factor.
Yeah.
Allison, thank you so much for coming today and taking the time. I appreciate it. I appreciate who you are as a person.
Thank you, Brett. I appreciate you too. Like doing these things it's like free help that you're doing. You're spreading messages and without, you know, expecting much payback from anyone. So it's inspirational to me too.
I definitely learned a lot, so thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I know what psychosis is now.
Yeah.
We.
No, I want to go into therapy, so this is helpful.
Oh, no
Yes,
kidding.
mental
awesome.
health is very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you have any questions, I've met a lot of people from all different spectrums. of the scale.
So DM us questions now, guys. We're going to do a live answer period.
Live answer period.
No,
Live
I'm
answer?
joking. No, we don't have that.
Okay, I was like, are we
Not
live?
No.
Live, right?
No,
Okay.
no.
I'm sorry for saying this
Oh.
live. Anyways, we're gonna end off this show right here.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Excuse me, Allison. Thank you again. Thank you for co-hosting with me today, Nick.
You're welcome.
You were awesome.
I know.
Yes, you guys are awesome.
Thank you guys.